right, so let's get started. We're gonna go over here, banners, and then I'm gonna go down here, and we are going to rewind. And now here's where I've got like 37 windows open, and yeah, and now I can't see where the hell I'm going. All right, there we go. Okay. All right. So, bear with me, guys, while I do this. Gotta just toggle down my FPS. So, this first clip, we're gonna talk about like your lacrosse goalie can't make a save if they're out of position. So, I found kind of a rather nuanced video here because this doesn't look like much, but in fact, it's actually quite telling. And so this is a Syracuse goalie, and again, I'm not going to pick out names or anything like that. You guys can pick out names, and I'm just looking at the overall like kind of the analysis of what's going on here. So this is looks like a little bit of a man down situation. All right, and I'm going to go back to this clip. So yeah, we have 5 Syracuse players, and we've got confusion, and I'll be honest. One of the things that bothers me about the college game is over the last like 15 years or so, maybe longer. Rick Beardsley can kind of talk about this. Rick Beardsley is kind of is a phenomenal defensive coach. He was just a workhorse as a long pole at Syracuse back in the day. But I think he and I would both agree that defensive technique, defensive conditioning, defensive aggression, partly kind of stifled by officiating, but I look more at the communication and the what the goalie can do. And so I'm going to get a little off topic here for a second because I just want you to understand something here. That before the shot is ever taken, there are things that can happen, or don't have to happen, if a goalie is communicating well and a coaching staff understands how to utilize that communication from the goalie to the D. All right. So this is just a simple man down here. It looks like, and a little rotation, and 44 here. 44 here is like looking the defender right there is looking, and he's way too deep. And so in a pre-scouting routine, like, this team, Syracuse would know that the guy, the midi who's top center, who's going to get this ball is a threat. And so this guy knows what I call it, knows his number. All right. So his number, what he's thinking about is that if I'm anywhere inside 17 yards, I'm shooting this thing because he's got a rocket. Okay. Now, from the goalie's perspective, this doesn't look like much. Okay. This doesn't look like much, but I have been teaching kind of offset goaltending for a really long time. And so, what is offset goaltending? Offset goaltending is basically where you are standing, the goalie is not splitting their body with the shooter's body or even the shooter's stick. We're not splitting the net. So what I mean by that is, like, if I took a line from the goal, from the center of the goal, or sorry, from uh, the shooter, from the stick, and dissected like 2 lines, or bisected, that went from both posts, the goalie, we don't want the goalie's body to be right down the middle. We want the goalie's body to be slightly to their off stick side. Okay. Why? Well, if we're primarily like, especially shots that are in the upper third of the cage, um, if we're going to have both hands on the stick, well, then we are like instantly at a disadvantage trying to stop balls to our off stick high. Okay. That's just a fact. So it's the furthest distance we can move our stick. It's also like it's the furthest thing away. And some goalies can't even get there depending on their flexibility and where they're standing and things like that. So right here in this particular clip, okay, the goalie, in my opinion, is too far to their stick side. They're actually giving up more to their off stick side than is necessary. All right. So worst case scenario, it's a 50-50 split. Best case scenario, you're looking at like a 60-40 split, maybe. And I know, I can't remember the coach. Like, I did hear a coach use that term years ago. I can't remember the coach's name. I apologize, but I call it offset goaltending. So I want the goalie offset to their off stick side against the shooter, because as you see this, all right, And we won't talk about the this poke check here. The job of the poke check is not to get on the head of the stick by the defender. The goal of the poke check is to interfere with the cuff of the bottom hand. So really good long poles who are strong and have like light sticks, they can, I say be a surgeon, not a lumberjack. They can throw that poke check right in that cuff. And what ends up happening is if they get a little bit lucky, is that cuff can, and depending on how tight the cuff is against the shooter's hand, the scoop of that stick can go right in the cuff and just to completely throw off a shooter. Now, when shooters are like this big and fast and strong, that's rare, but it's still a possibility. The other one is you just poke them right in the back of the elbow, and in that's just above the elbow pad, and right in that little like that tendon right there. And holy smokes, they're gonna be thinking twice the rest of the game. So when this shot gets taken, all right, if I freeze it there and we look at the where the stick is, where the stick head is in relation to the cage and where that ball is going to be, this goalie, in my opinion, is one, not offset to their left side, but also very deep, like too deep in the cage. Okay, so you guys all know my take is that the 10 words that ruin field lacrosse goalies are that I should stand back in the cage so I have more time to react to the ball. Well, you know what? I think we're just seeing more and more examples of goalies getting lit up because they're too small in the cage. And so we've got to be an offensive goalie, and we've got to be able to kind of dictate a little bit because this shooter guaranteed has no stress on where they're shooting this ball, right? They have no stress. They're just they're looking. They got all the time in the world, and the goalie's like, "Oh, here I am," and this shooter's just going, "I'm going top cheese," and there we go. Take that, all right? And I love the flame graphic on this ball, right? So this is a good shot. Don't get me wrong. This is like the best you can probably do. I mean, I'd be surprised if live this didn't make some sort of that sound where when the ball hits that upper corner between the mesh and the post, you kind of get a little bit of mesh and a little bit of like ding, right? But this is the longest distance this goalie can make. This is the end of their range, and I just don't. Um, I would like to see this goalie further out, kind of where the dive arc is, and also to their off stick side. So this case is left. Um, Ben Stone writes, looking at the young goalies I've watched this week, boys and girls, offset goaltending would make a huge difference to all of them. Hey Ben, welcome. You know what, Ben? I've been saying this for just like yeah, like it's just the way to go. Like it just if you're gonna play with basically one hand, that hand needs to be more centrally located in the cage so we can move out from there. Now, this is especially important with shots from right out front. Okay, so kind of in this upper you kind of in this top center area, especially. We want our goalies to play big. We want them to be offset, and I believe that's going to be the goalie of the future, right? The goalie that because ideally, I would love to see this goalie at the top of the crease, going bring it, right? Because I just don't see that this if a goalie's getting lit up from 17 yards and at the D1 level, um, I just don't I feel like we're failing as goalies. Okay. And that all comes down to coaching at younger ages. But it's hard, but it's hard. And for our Lacrosse Goal University members, I'm doing more we're putting more content out about just kind of how to teach that and what to do with it. So it's on my list. Okay. But yeah, like that's a save that a goalie's gotta have. Gotta have. All right. Um, here's another look at it. All right. So first of all, in a man down situation, which I believe this is what's going on here, um, especially at the D1 level, guys are not dodging from the outside. That's the thing you teach in high school. Like if there's a man up, right, you don't dodge into a man up. You're gonna move the rock around, right? And so here, the fact that 44 is so deep and like showing like he's gonna slide, it's just not necessary, man. It's just not necessary, right? Oh, it is, man. It is even strength. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. then there's still no excuse for this. Like, so even if it's even strength, these guys are not looking like they're going to dodge. This is just way too much work, right? So we're sliding from the adjacent up top. That's just lame, right? Just lame, right? So not man up. My bad. Okay. All right. All right. Any other questions? Anybody on that one? And any other comments? We'll give you a little time to let her rip, but hopefully that covers it for you. Okay. All right, guys. Thanks for watching and thanks for listening wherever you are. Do me a favor, hit the like button if you like this, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. When you're ready, head on over to lacrossegoalieuniversity.com/coaching so I can work with you and your goalie. And while you're at it, check out athletespecific.com to learn more about mental performance and high performance. You may not know this, but I work with athletes in a variety of sports. Lacrosse is my love, but man, I love athletes and the families who support them. So head on over to athletespecific.com and check it out. I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.